Good is morning, Westeros.
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Glow.
And I'm Kyle.
We're the fucking Morning Throners.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We're the Morning Throners.
Whoop, whoop.
Tyrion 6. Major just discrepancy in the chapter orders here.
We were talking yesterday, or I think in the last one, that like we've only had one Dany chapter.
I was gonna bring that up. Is she still in this book? Like, is she still around? Like, however, I was like, usually I start reading, I kind of flip ahead to see how long it is, and the next one I found was a Dany one. I was like, I can't use that joke anymore. But
I think that
Arya's actually
Arya's next. Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Just more story to build in this part of the world?
This is where all the action
Same
is,
thing with
for
Ned.
sure.
Ned had 12 in the first book, and like Sansa and Arya had like 3 and 4.
Yeah. Well, I think they also wanted to throw some hey, he's the main character.
Yeah, it might have been that. But also he was just the one where everything was going on in King's Landing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why.
Well,
Tyrion's
maybe it's a
getting
hand of the
lot,
king thing. Maybe it's just being the hand.
That's true.
That's
too,
true.
Kyle. Good
Yeah,
call.
you're in charge of everything when everything's coming through you and you're the hand.
Yeah. All right, let's jump right in. So we get Tyrion. He's walking to Cersei's bedchamber, hearing a song being sung.
Did we get the Kyle? What'd you think? Like
Some
the
high
general
harp.
We did not. I'm sorry. Kyle,
good.
what you think?
Kyle, what'd you think?
What did I think? This was probably one of the better ones yet. I mean, there's a bunch of deceit and stuff going on, and then there was a huge ending that I didn't see coming, really.
Yeah.
I thought Pycelle was pretty locked up for being I guess maybe that's my misunderstanding of the Maesters, but I thought they were almost untouchable.
Gotcha.
But
He touched him hardcore.
Pretty awesome. And I think it's the same as Tyrion's last one too. You just get different angles of Tyrion attacking different, he attacks, not attacks, but he's going after Cersei. Then he is in the deal, and then he's with Pycelle. It's bada boom, boom, boom. It's action packed.
He's probably getting a hot head. Last couple Tyrion chapters, he's probably been he's been riding a high. Plays a trick on Varys and Pyce. Pulls a trick on the 3 of them. Right, that kind of finally comes to fruition here. Plays that trick. I forget what he does exactly last chapter, but I'm sure he's doing some more schemy stuff. Yeah, he's talking to the pyromancers, right? Doing all that, living on. And then he's here in the council chamber. He likes sitting on the throne, his voice echoing. He just had a couple good. Tyrion's having the time of his life right now in King's Landing.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? And it seems like, at least from Varys' perspective, maybe he's doing an okay job, or at least, for his own self benefit, he's doing a good job.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get into it. So
I want
Tyrion's
to say one
walking
more
up
thing before we
to.
go in. There's a lot of other stuff that we've heard throughout the other chapters that we've kind of made predictions. Oh, it's going to happen when they find out about this, and they find out about all that shit right here. We're going to get into it at the very beginning. But
I hope you remember that.
But some of the stuff from we said in the last Theon chapter, we know where Rob's going. Rob had told Catelyn he's going somewhere. He told Theon where if you put those together. Just kind of everything that's going on, it's all coming to a head here. I think in this one chapter.
All right, so let's jump in. So Tyrion is heading to Cersei's bedchamber. He's walking up. Here's some singing going on in there. We don't really know. It kind of reminds me of a teenage girl just playing music in her bedroom. But I mean, I guess this is how you played music back in the day. You just had people come play for you.
Your cousin come over and sing. Yeah.
Your cousin sing. Who's guarded? Meryn Tran's at the guard. He lets him in, which is kind of weird. He just left him in my opinion.
Well, he's also the hand of the king.
Sure, but it's still her bedroom. What if she was
it's Tyrion though. I'm sure in times past he's probably talked his way through, and he knows by now to just fucking let him in.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, if I'm Cersei, I'm probably kind of pissed. Hey, you're not even going to ask me if you can come into my room at this time. Yeah. But whatever. That's beside the point.
I can see where you're coming from, Jeffrey.
And we find out Lancel's in there, the cousin, who is now a knight, formerly Rob Squire, and he's doing the singing. He's got the voice of an angel.
Yep, he's good.
And Tyrion compliments him, and he's thinks he's being sarcastic about it, but he's probably being honest.
Yeah,
he actually got
Tell
a good
Cersei
voice.
she looks cute. Tell Lance he's got a good voice. He takes it kind of like he's being mocked. And there's a cool quote about Lancel. First off, it's I don't know if we've ever got a description of him before. Sometimes I re-describe people the second time in another book.
I think it was just he was blonde of Lannisterism.
He's basically like a dollar store Jamie, right? But then after that, it's at 16, he was cursed with all the certainty of youth, unleavened by any trace of humor or self-doubt, and wed to the arrogance that came so naturally to those born blonde and strong and handsome. So yeah, kind of just like dollar store Jamie. He's very cocky because first off, he's a Lannister, so silver spoon, right? But then also
just a little bit different. I feel like
going.
Jamie has a bit of a sense of humor. From the little we saw, Jamie, didn't he like
kind of like in an asshole way?
Right,
not
but this is saying this guy
like happy-go-lucky as Tyrion, right? It's more like asshole.
Yeah, but this guy's like, without any trace of humor. I feel like Jamie had humor.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
But he definitely didn't have self-doubt. But my big note was he's just become a bigger douche since he got knighted.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm sure that goes to your head, especially at 16.
Yeah.
Getting power. Yeah.
And you could just like start like kind of bullying people around, and you did nothing really of note. You got robbed drunk for it.
And that's what he does when Tyrion comes in. He's like, "Did Cersei send for you?" And Tyrion's like, "Not that I remember, but I got something to talk of, and she's probably going to talk of it privately." So then the people who are playing the music get out. Cersei gives
before even that, she just mentions like, "Please, if you're here to talk about these two brothers that I locked up, like, don't even bother." So
the begging brothers. Yeah. They're not actually brothers. These are the people Tyrion saw in the last chapter.
Crazy people at the end. Yeah.
Who are like screaming of prophecy, right? He's like doing the whole like crazy people in the streets. So Cersei has locked up these people. They actually talked about this before, right? These are the people who are spreading the rumors of the Stannis stuff, right? They had the council chamber. Mm-hmm. What'd Cersei say? Cut out their tongue. Tyrion's like, or maybe Littlefinger was like, if you cut out their tongue, you're not silent. You're just telling people you're afraid of what they're going to say. Yeah, Cersei just does it anyway. So that's probably why Tyrion's pissed.
Well, she did.
I
don't think she
just locked them up.
She
exactly.
And then it's like half a dozen red priests too, like are in the black cells now.
But
it's a little different.
It's similar though.
I mean,
by locking them up, you're telling people you're afraid of what they're going to say.
I thought they were. Let me see. Half a dozen of the scabrous prophets down in the dungeon.
I think that's just the bread
in red cloaks. They were in red cloaks.
The brothers might have been wearing red cloaks too. Yeah.
Sure. All right. Well, we get a mention of.
Brothers were more faith related, but I guess you're right. Maybe it was some like red people. I didn't even.
I said the red cloaks. I thought the red cloaks.
Oh, the red cloaks. The Lannisters took down. Yeah. So okay. I think you're right. Yeah, so not the red priestess. They're like begging brothers who are more related to the faith of the Seven, but they're kind of preaching against both Lannister and Stannis, right? The one that we saw Tyrion was preaching both against the incest in the capital, but also
when the red cloaks had dragged a half dozen. Okay.
Because what we saw was preaching against both. He was saying ladies lie with fools in their beds, which is the patch face thing.
I think we get mention of a new character too, Vylar.
We've heard Valar before. He's the captain of the Red Cloaks. Of
Cersei's guard
of
or
the Lannister guard.
Yeah,
like Tyrion meets with him, I think, on the first chapter, like when Tyrion's going to like see Joffrey or something. He meets with him in the yard. He's like, "Hey, I'm here now too. It's not just Cersei you're in charge of. Take those heads off the wall." Is like the first time we see Valar. I think
that's
he tells him to take Ned's head and stuff down. Right. So we've seen him a few times just in passing. But yeah, we get a lot. There's like a big shit thing with Valar in this chapter. So yeah. And I guess Valar was just the one who was arresting them, in charge of that.
He was. She was like, I sent Valar when your guy Jacelyn didn't get the job done. I sent Valar.
Yep. So Jacelyn Bywater's Iron Hand, who's the new captain of the City Watch. Yep. So basically, this is what. So Lancel's leaving. Cersei gives him a kiss and says, like, "Don't worry, Tyrion's harmless, especially without his pets, and we know." They're not here. We'd smell them.
We could smell them. It's like, hey, come on! I've Shagga bathe
every month,
exactly.
once a month,
once a fortnight. Once a fortnight.
She gives him a little kiss on the cheek too.
Yep.
To Lancel.
Again, we've talked about this. Show spoiler upcoming. Kyle has seen some Lancel Cersei stuff, right?
Yeah.
I
mean, I assume that was what was happening.
They do diddle in season 1.
Well, the thing is, there's a piper and a harpist here. I thought about that for a second, Kyle, and especially along the lines of what Jeff was saying, like, why does Meryn let him in? First off, like, if this is going on, if you feel like Meryn would have to know, right? But like, I'm not saying it's happening here because there's a harpist and a piper. Like, she's not going to be doing it in front of them. But like, it'd just be weird. You're going to have a person on the door no matter when Cersei's there, right? So like, I don't know.
The door guys know for sure. They have to
know, right?
You would think. They're not.
There's
stupid.
stuff in like the history books where some of the other Kingsguard have said like they knew that like a king was like beating his wife and stuff like that. Like when they're in the bedchamber, but like they're the Kingsguard, they're just supposed to stand there. It's their job. So like maybe, but I don't know.
So the next mention of, or just like start of the conversation, it really the big point is Tyrion gets the mention of his chain. I don't think we've heard of the chain since he set the people off down the steel road to start making the links. But
so he doesn't bring it up. He just thinks about it because she's like, "Why do you look so happy?" And he's like, "Why not? My fucking chain is doing great."
Oh,
dude."
he doesn't say it. It is just a thought. Yeah. So
He's like,
he's still keeping it a secret.
My chain is sick.
So the chain, yeah, and then he's like, "Is this the bed where Robert died? You're still fucking sleeping on this bed?"
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, it brings me sweet dreams."
That's gross. Yeah.
No, spit out your business. And then Tyrion drops the bomb. Stannis has mobilized his forces. He's on the move.
How scared was she?
Oh, dude, she was
uber
freaking out.
scared.
She's like, why the fuck are you smiling about this?
Yeah.
All right, so back on track. Nelson had a little internet issue.
Yeah, so so Tyrion caught the news that Stannis landed at Storm's End and he's setting up a siege, and Renly is now riding to Stannis. And before this, we mentioned that Cersei was scared to shitless and maybe a little poopy in the panties.
Did you guys mention that she kept Robert's bed?
Yeah, we talked about how fucking crazy that was. And now they're celebrating. They dance around like little schoolgirls.
It was a little cute moment between brother and sister.
Tyrion says it later on, but I think of it here too. And he's like, I wonder if this is what Jaime sees in Cersei when she's just like not being a bitch.
Yeah,
you know
I was going to say the same thing. It was, it's weird that without Jaime there, she's obviously been forced to interact with Tyrion a little bit more. Yeah. And she's still very much like, shut the fuck up, Tyrion, I hate you.
Yeah.
But it never felt like they would be sharing moments like this. But, I guess when she's that scared of this
things are going
happening.
Good for her,
yeah.
The last time we saw them, she was slapping him and crying.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but she got her way in this one, so she's nice. This is abusive relationship 101, right?
Yeah.
Gaslighting the shit out of him.
Cersei, as they celebrate, she then takes a quick second to realize, like, oh shit, what if they come together to fight us? Then we're actually fucked. We need to, what's going on? And he's like, calm down. There's no shot. These two don't even like each other.
Exactly. There's no way. He says they're too different and too similar, and they could never stomach each other, is basically what Tyrion says.
I thought it was a funny quote, too. I don't know where it mixed into all this, but Cersei was like, man, maybe Robert was a smart one.
Yeah, maybe he was a clever one.
So I think it would be dumb for them to join up and then attack from one direction as well. They were already set to
they had the pincer move on them.
Yeah, but he could still float around.
Yeah, they can still join up and then still
they
go.
Could, but it just seems useless to ride that whole army past King's Landing. That's what they should do at this point.
If they were going to do that, you'd think it would be like Stannis and 100 men go to see Renly and 100 men or something like that. Let's take the whole fucking army. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they did try the Davos thing. I don't know if he went to Renly, but he went to Stannis. Didn't seem like he was anywhere near to jumping on me and Renly will team up either. He's like, fuck Renly. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Stannis has definitely been like, fuck Renly more than.
And part of it is Cersei.
Renly said too, like, well, no one likes Stannis. Nobody cares about him. So why are we going there?
Part of the reason Stannis doesn't like Renly, and it's nothing to do with Renly actually, but it's because of Robert.
Mm-hmm.
And Cersei brings it up. Stannis always felt cheated at a Storm's End, the ancestral seat of House Baratheon, by his rights. Do you know how many times he came calling to Robert, singing that same dull song in a gloomy, aggravated tone he has? When Robert gave the place to Renly, Stannis clenched his jaw so tight I thought his teeth would shatter.
Yeah.
And this is interesting. Tyrion says he took it as a slight, and Cersei says it was meant as a slight. Why the fuck would Robert want a slight?
Yeah, Robert just didn't like Stannis.
Cersei would probably know that. She's his wife.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, Stannis is probably in the bedroom like, fuck Stannis. You know what I mean?
It's not like Robert had a tight tongue. Like, he was kind of saying pretty boisterous, right? And probably like, oh, fuck that guy. He doesn't love me. I think he mentioned, or this might be a show quote, he was like, oh, Stannis never loved me more than I loved him, or something like that, or
I don't know.
It was like
Robert said that to Ned. I thought. I don't know. I thought Stannis said that about somebody. I thought Stannis said that to somebody.
Maybe Stannis said. Maybe Stannis said Robert. Maybe Stannis said Robert never loved me.
Yeah.
I think it was Stannis to Robert, or Stannis about Robert.
Yeah, like we never loved each other or anything like that. Yeah. I didn't love him more than he loved me or something like that.
So they go to toast, and Tyrion gets his back to her. Slips a little X-Lax in the drink.
Yeah. And Tyrion's like, she thinks I'm not harmless or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not harmless when I'm alone.
Also, where's this poison come from, Kyle? Where's Tyrion get this?
Pycelle's.
Exactly. This is the deal that Tyrion slipped out of Pycelle's thing earlier.
I forget what I thought it was, but
I thought you said he was going to maybe frame somebody for the John Aaron thing, or you thought out of something like that. I don't know.
So the point of this was truly to meet with Cleos one-on-one, so he could send back terms without Cersei being like, "Wait, just go get Jaime."
King for the day, pretty much. Yep.
Mostly not meaning Cleos with himself, but Cleos is the big part of it. But get rid of the guards,
the Lannister army.
That's what he doesn't think would go well with Cersei there. He has a good cover up at the end with what he tells Varys, but and also I think it just probably Tyrion got really lucky that they got the Stannis news right now, because Cersei probably isn't as okay to just let this council chamber happen if they didn't just have this nice moment, right? If instead she slaps him 3 times in this conversation and then the next morning can't go to the chamber, she's like, call it off, wait till tomorrow, right? I can see that being a possibility, but because they just had this moment, she's like, trust him a little bit, maybe is why is I think
there's
it also
much less pressing news now as well. You know,
they're a little
I mean,
safer.
at the same time, the way he spins it, why didn't he just bring it up to her right now when she's in a great mood? Like, hey,
I think he likes to piss her off and then be like, hey, dumbass, like this is what we're actually doing.
Well, yeah, he does say later on that he likes to keep her off center. I forget the exact words he used.
To what you're saying though, Glow, I think he could, but there's like a 20% chance she says no, maybe even higher than that right here. And if he just does it, it's kind of like my favorite thing, right? It's better to ask forgiveness
than permission.
Than permission, yeah. If you can get away with it first, do it. And then, it's not a great rules to live by at all.
Once they leave the castle, like, I mean, what are they going to do?
Yeah, and Tyrion hurries them on. Like, they leave that day, right? So Tyrion makes sure they get out quick. They drink it. And this is when... Right, he says to Stannis, she says to Renly, and she says, may they battle long and hard, and may the others take them both. So another little, somebody told somebody to take the others in the Theon chapter. Someone told somebody to take the others take them here too.
Well, no, Theon says Asha, and the others take Asha.
The others take Asha.
All right, so now, I don't know if it's the next day, right?
Well, Tyrion thinks about, just real quick, Tyrion thinks about the Jaime, this is what must be what Jaime sees, and he thinks about that song. Again, I love to Maid is Fair Summer.
And like how pretty she actually is. And
yeah, exactly.
He'd probably bang her too if he had the
chance. Yeah, so did Jeff's right. Basically just cuts her that the next morning, she's pooping. But somebody says she's indisposed. Tyrion knows she's pooping, which is what gives us the hint that that's probably what he knew was going to happen.
X-Lax.
We get a little quote of the Iron Throne here. I think it's like the 3rd or 4th quote we ever got. Mm-hmm. Someone want to read it as he climbs up?
Iron Throne of Aegon the Conqueror was a tangle of nasty barbs and jagged metal teeth waiting for any fool who tried to sit too comfortably, and the steps made his stunned legs cramp as he climbed up to it, all too aware of what an absurd spectacle he must be. Yet there was one thing to be said for it. It was high.
So high. I must have smoked like 3 bowls because it was so high.
Iron Throne's sick, dude. I love it.
Yeah, and you always mention how the book, I think we even put a picture of it.
It's in our logo now. Our logo is us in front of the throne.
The real throne?
Yeah.
Throne. Right. That guy, our artist.
Our artist did it.
Name drop. Do you want to give the guy a drop?
jraijin, I think I think he's Spanish. He's from Spain. His name is Javier, but I think his...
Does he have an at? Does he have an at?
I put the link. His link's been every single one of our podcasts.
Check out his link. Guy's pretty good.
Do you need any art done? Check him out on Fiverr's. Fiverr's links below. That's where we found him.
All right. So
what's the layout of everybody in this throne room?
The gold cloaks and the red cloaks are facing each other along the ramparts. Not the ramparts. I don't know. The aisle.
They create an aisle, I guess you would say.
Braun's in there.
Braun and another guy's right up front,
Lord
right?
Giles.
Yeah, you got gold cloaks on one side, red cloaks on the other, and then we got Preston and Braun at the foot. And there's other people around. What's he say? Sansa looks good. Lord Giles,
but she's pale as milk. She's pretty pale, maybe a little sick.
So I was thinking, you think she's sick or she's being punched a lot? I was wondering if she has to wear a
bunch of powder.
I wonder if they
wearing a bunch of powder.
I wonder if like the next Sansa we get is like close after this, and she's like, I was fucked up and I had to wear a bunch of makeup.
Do you think at all like so Cleos is
you're laughing because you don't think that's a possibility?
Just laughing because it's fucked up.
It is fucked up, but it's more. I think it's more likely than she's sick.
I think you're right. No, I think you're right.
I would. Yeah, I think so. That's a big possibility. And they're not worried. You know, one thing I thought about was reading it, but Cleos is a Lannister, so it's not like he's running back to Stark's being like, oh, shit, actually, Sansa beat the fuck up.
Half Lannister, half
Frey,
Frey, which is Stark's side right now.
But
kind of.
I guess,
Sort
but they're
of.
not. They don't look
There's
at
a
him.
million of
He
them.
was fighting for the Lannisters. That's why
Yeah,
he
we've
was
talked
captive.
about like the Freys are split into a million different like sub Frey houses, but the main Freys are supporting the North.
Yeah, but this guy was fighting with the
For the
Lannisters.
Lannisters,
so.
yeah, exactly, which is why it gets
All
confusing
right,
for the Freys.
so Tyrion gets up there. He runs court and he calls in Sir Cleos Frey.
So hold on, real quick. I'm sorry. I know this is minute stuff, but this has been talked about before. There is one last person to talk about in the crowd, Tyrek Lannister. What do they mention about him?
His new wife.
He got married to some
We've heard about this, right?
young lady.
One of the riots at the gates in one of the last Sansa.
Yeah, because it was
was because they were feasting for this wedding. So, and what do they call him?
Wet nurse.
And this is because his wife is 2 years old, like literally a year or two old. And I think she's just like the last remaining of a certain like house. So they're like, let's get her married off to somebody. Like, you get a whole house. Like, you with this, you get the entire castle and everything, right? So who cares if she's
Just
two?
raise your babe.
And again, I don't think Tyrek's.
That's
old. I
kind of
think he's,
weird
like,
to
12
raise
or
a baby
something.
to be your. It's crazy to raise a baby to be your wife, but
Her entire life, this girl is married.
yeah,
She's not
that's
going to remember a
absurd.
You know
day of her
she's
life
two.
not married. I know from
He did some research.
Yeah.
All right, so
But they say she's a baby. That's why they call him
Yeah.
wet nurse. Yeah, swaddling clothes. She wears baby's clothes to bed. Yeah, that's what they joke with him. Like, what kind of your swaddling clothes did your girl wear? Your wife wear on your wedding night?
all right, so they get called. Cleos Frey gets called in,
Yep.
and we do get a little bit more from the council people at first, right? They're like, "Oh, well, we can't accept these terms," and they don't even really mention the Stark's terms again.
Littlefinger pretty much welcomes them. Pycelle exactly says like, "Hey, we read your terms. They're not going to do."
Mhm.
Tyrion telling the real terms. And as Tyrion, one thing is that Tyrion calls out Cleos. He does feel like a little big dick. He's like, "Damn, I wish I'm the boss right
I
now.
wish Shay was
could
here."
see me."
I wish Shay was here to watch.
She wanted to come too, but he's like, I couldn't figure out a way.
Impossible.
Read the terms. Oh, I guess I got to read the terms because I'm Tyrion.
You're Tyrion. Come on, dude.
Robb Stark must lay down his sword, swear fealty, and return to Winterfell. He must free my brother unharmed and place his host under Jaime's command to march against the rebels, Renly and Stannis Baratheon. Each of the Stark's bannermen must send us a son as hostage. A daughter will suffice where there is no son. They shall be treated gently and given high places here at court, so long as their fathers commit no new treasons.
Cleos Frey looked ill.
My Lord Hand,
He said,
Lord Stark will never consent to these terms.
"We never expected he would, Cleos."
Tell him that we have raised another great host at Castle Rock that soon will march on him from the west while my lord father advances from the east. Tell him that he stands alone, without hope of allies. Stannis and Renly Baratheon war against each other, and the Prince of Dorne has consented to wed his son Trystane to the Princess Marcella.
Murmurs of delight and consternation alike arose from the gallery in the back of the hall.
As to my cousins,
Tyrion went on.
we offer Harry Karstark and Sir Willis Manderley for Willem Lannister, and Lord Serwyn and Sir Donald Locke for your brother Tion. Tell Stark that 2 Lannisters are worth 4 Northmen in any season.
You waited for the laughter to die.
His father's bones he shall have, as a gesture of Joffrey's good faith.
Lord Stark asked for his sisters and his father's sword as well.
Sir Cleos reminded him. Sir Ilyn Payne stood mute, the hilt of Eddard Stark's greatsword rising over one shoulder.
Ice.
Said Tyrion.
He'll have that when he makes peace with us, not before.
As you say, and his sisters?
Tyrion glanced towards Sansa and felt a stab of pity as he said,
Until such time as he frees my brother Jaime unharmed, they shall remain here as hostages. How well they are treated depends on him.
"And if the gods are good, Bywater will find Arya alive before Robb learns she's gone missing."
I shall bring him your message, my lord.
So the one thing you were talking about how he's treating Sansa, but do you think Cleos notices that Arya's not here? Maybe.
I'm not sure. I doubt how Cleos would. Like, I don't think he would know who Sansa or Arya is. Like, but
True.
just by image. First off, the one thing is though, I feel like Sansa. I was thinking this when I read it. Sansa has a chance here. Tyrion makes it sound like they have Arya. Sansa knows they don't. Sansa could shout out, like, obviously she'd probably get hit in the face again a lot, but she could yell out, "They don't have Arya," right? And Cleos would then know. Whether he would tell them, because like you said again, he's technically on the Lannister side anyway. So would that ever get out of King's Landing anyway? Who knows? But
And then another thing he kind of sells here is that the whole they're I mean, I guess they're not technically losing out on these trades, but I mean 2 for 1, and then he pitches it like
the Starks are winning big time.
On
These
the
are
trades.
these are 2 boys, and we have Lord Serwyn, the heir of a house, Willis Manderley, the guy that we heard in the Brand chapter, meant this is the guy that Big Fat Wyman wants back. Harry and Karstark. The other two, there's 3 Karstark sons. 2 of them died in the Whispering Wood. This is the last Karstark son. This is a ridiculously Stark-sided trade. But Tyrion knows he's never going to go for it because he literally said you have to give over your entire army to Jaime.
That's what I'm saying. It's not Stark-sided because of that whole
Each person
stipulation.
has to give us a son.
It's
so
just so
basically,
crazy
Lord Serwin's
how
going to go there and then go right back as a fucking hostage.
Lord Serwin's not a son. He's like the Lord, right?
Whatever. He's got to give up a son right away.
Does Karstark have a son?
Karstark might come back. Yeah, Harry and Karstark might come right back. But you're right. Like, I guess that's a good point, Chloe. But that's I'm just saying, like, we've heard like these hostages. It's a great trade for them, and both the other ones are like squires. Like, neither of them are that old.
Well, Willem Manderley's going to go right back too.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think his dad's bones
He can send
are?
the other. He has 2 other sons. One's with Cat right now. One
In a box somewhere.
They didn't bury him or anything. He's just
Tarred him somewhere.
Yeah, the head was up on the wall for a while.
All right, so
I think that's pretty much everything. Oh,
yeah.
The last thing is Tyrion drops the bomb on the Marcella thing to everybody here. I think this might be where Littlefinger hears it for the first time. Like, Littlefinger brings it up after this.
Yeah, he seems pretty heated right after this, and you would think. And
also, he says it was a good. Like, this is the first we're hearing that Doran said yes. That's what Tyrion says.
Is he just presuming? But we don't know.
Exactly.
I guess, right?
I mean, he said he consented.
I don't know the last time Tyrion's chapter was, but I'm sure there's been.
It's been a while. It's like a month. It's a little over a month since the last one. Yeah, based on this has to be after the Cat chapter, stuff like that. Yeah,
it's kind of goofy that.
Also, new moon this chapter. Time for keep track of time based on moons.
Is it curious that Varys isn't upset that he got played? Did he know?
It didn't really affect Varys though. Like, he wasn't going to get. He didn't have any.
Like Glow pointed out before, he didn't really have anything to gain. Like, he gave Littlefinger a really good reason not to tell Cersei. He didn't really give Varys or Pycelle one.
So is this Pycelle's message?
Yeah. Well, when we get down to Pycelle, he was like, "You only sent one of them."
Yeah, but I meant this one. The
what actually happens?
Christine and Marcella.
Yeah,
that was.
I guess we didn't know what was in the letter to Doran, but that's the.
Well, Tyrion told Cersei in a previous Tyrion chapter.
Yeah, no, I thought that was that one, but I just wasn't sure if it was him or Varys.
Yeah, so those are all the commands he's going back to Robb. Then Tyrion said he's playing with like some of the barbs on the throne. He says, "Time for the thrust," and then this is when we get the big shocker that Cleos is a Lannister. We need to protect him a little bit better. Valar, take take your men and guard him. Well, how many
would you like, sir?
All of them. Take them all.
Master Pycelle's like, what do you mean? Cersei would never consent to this.
That's a cool line. It says like Valar just stood there like didn't give a fuck, but Pycelle's like immediately busting up like, no, you can't do this.
Your dad sent them here to protect Cersei and her children.
Yeah, exactly.
Kingsguard and the City Watch are enough. Fuck her.
So then it's time.
She doesn't sound like they are with all these riots, though. Let's be fair.
The one thing that Tyrion doesn't bring up here, but there's way less of an immediate threat, right? Tyrion said that he was having nightmares every night of waking up with Stannis at the gates, and now, like, he's like
chilling.
He's living the dream.
They know Stannis. They know that's not going to happen, at least right now. Right?
At least not from the east, right?
Yeah. So maybe that's also like Tyrion might have not sent these people away unless the Stannis thing happened, right? Tyrion was honestly worried about the city's defenses up until whenever he learned about the Stannis stuff, and he's still worried about it, but like not as immediately. So like again, I think this is a more opportune thing for Tyrion.
Cleos leaves, and I think they just open it up like, hey, like who's next? Anybody else want to talk to us? And Alistair Thorne comes from the back.
Yep, pushes up past the Red Wine twins that are still here. Tyrion acts like he's like, oh, you should have sent word. I didn't know you were here. And he's like, you didn't know I was here. I've been here for forever.
Bullshit.
Which, and if the last Tyrion chapter hasn't been for a month, I don't even know if that was when we heard of him. It might have been 2 Tyrion chapters ago, but he's been here at least a month. I think it might have been a month, maybe a month and a half. And he's like, Bronn, that was ill done. You know that Alistair and I are friends. We walked the wall together. When he like literally told Bronn, like, he's like, oh, when Bronn comes to see Tyrion, when Bronn comes to see Tyrion, he's like, oh, is it Yoren? He's like, no, it's Alistair. He's like, yeah, send him to us. A dank cell
how mad
where the rushes haven't been changed in a fortnight or something like that.
Yeah, and he's been here for probably another fortnight, right?
Over a month, yeah.
So he's been here for probably close to 2 months.
A fortnight's 2 weeks, Nels or Jeff.
I thought a fortnight was a month.
Just 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I'm sorry. I thought it was on the moon cycle. We've definitely gone over that multiple times. It just never stuck.
It used to be one of our favorite words, like early on. George
Still
hasn't been using it much. He used to use it in like every chapter.
That was like a fortnight ago.
Yeah. Like a fortnight ago was our favorite word.
So Alistair wants to speak to Joffrey. And he wants to speak to Joffrey.
Yeah, Varys like, sweet Alistair. Don't think too harshly of us. Joffrey's super busy. And we find out later like what Joffrey's actually doing. He's fucking shooting crossbows.
We find out like immediately. He was like, well, he's not here. He's fucking shooting a three arrow crossbow right now.
Well, there's another, right before that, there's another Jape. Alistair's like, because he says, Joffrey's busy in these troubled times. And he's like, more troubled than you know, eunuch. And what's the little finger say?
Call him to his face. We call him Lord Eunuch.
Doesn't really like that one.
I thought that one was pretty funny.
So anyway, so then he brings up this hand. Right?
Yeah,
we talked about the crossbow that happens in the middle there, but he brings up this hand and he's like, they're like, and dead people coming back to life and killing Riker and trying to kill them, Mormont.
And someone starts
laughing.
laughing.
He's like, I had a hand, but now it's just bits of like rotten flesh and bones in this jar because you assholes made me wait this long.
Yeah, poor guy.
Which, like, at that point, do you just leave? You're like, fuck, I have no proof. I mean, I guess you had orders to go talk to him.
So let's see. I think we talked about this in the spoiler section. Like, would the hand, like, Alistair's been gone from Castle Black for so long.
We mentioned it in the regular section.
We did. Like, would this hand have been rotted anyway? Like, it's been a month. Like, he said
it was like in somewhat stable condition when he first got there. He said, now that I've been here for a month, it's rotted away.
I have a question too. Was the hand like zombie moving?
It had to be.
I thought so.
So like, why would it die? Why did it rot? It's a fucking.
It doesn't have any muscles anymore. You need muscles to move. Everything rotted away.
But it's a fucking zombie.
Food.
I don't know. Zombies fucking get fucking.
Yeah, zombies aren't real. White Walkers are.
Oh, true. So White Walkers need muscles to move. Now I understand.
Yeah.
It's been almost 6 months. It's been 5 months since the hand got ripped off.
Okay. That's a long time.
It's a long time. And he's been waiting for a month. So 4 of those months are travel time.
My thing is just like, if it's an undead moving thing, wouldn't it still be moving? It didn't get burned.
In the show though, like they're like rotting. Like the zombies are rotting, right? So like maybe the older they are, the more skeletal they become to the point where they're just skeletons. Right? There's some that are like basically just skeletons in the show.
Yeah,
in the show.
I mean, we can't show spoil.
The show's not the books.
I mean, yeah, exactly. The show's not the books, but
show's not the books. They need muscles. Chloe just proved it. Yeah, actually,
proof.
All right. So he tells the story how they come and attack. They killed a guy and almost killed the old bear. Tyrion's a little bit worried. He liked the old bear. But everybody else is just like, this is like fucking stand-up comedy, what this guy's saying in front of him.
Yeah. Well, how much are they laughing? When I listened to the
half
audio,
and half, I think.
It sounded like they were laughing more than when I read it. It said, when I read it, I was getting like sniggers and like titters and shit like that.
I heard someone snigger. Someone almost like Bronn had to hold in a laugh at one point.
That's when Tyrion starts making jokes, people start laughing. But when he's just like telling what's going on, it's more like just like.
Once the court and kingdom started to laugh at him, he was doomed.
So Tyrion here gets a little self-conscious. He's like, I'm a dwarf. If I lose my dignity, once it's gone, it's gone. There's no getting it back. So I got to be careful what I do here. I can't let everyone think I'm afraid of this shit. And in my notes I have, but yeah, ... in like caps, because like we know there actually is something to be worried about.
And he kind of has another feeling for it, right?
Yeah. So basically, I mean, throughout this whole conversation, when he's like being a dick to Alistair, he's always in the back of his mind like, yeah, but it was kind of creepy. I felt something when I was there. This could be true. Yeah. So he's trying to like help out in his own way, which Varys points out after this. But
send him shovels.
Spades.
If you bury your dead, they'll be less likely to come up. Or what's he saying?
They won't come walking.
Hold on, Tyrion remembered a cold night under the stars when he had stood beside the boy Jon Snow and a great white wolf atop the wall at the end of the world, gazing out at the trackless dark beyond. He had felt what? Something, to be sure, a dread that had cut like the frigid northern wind. A wolf had howled off in the night, and the sound had sent a shiver through him. Just like at some, his head is telling him there's something going on, but he just doesn't want to look like an ass.
Well, for sure.
No, his heart is telling him. His head is telling him to.
His head is saying, "Hey, I can't look like a jackass in front of all these people." Or, but man, maybe there was something. That was weird when I stood up on that wall and that wolf howled. But
yeah. So he asked if Gior survived, not Jorah.
The old bear. Well, the guy said he was attacked. They tried to kill him, but they didn't.
Yeah,
so,
well, he says he did kill Riker.
He did kill Riker and attempted to murder the Lord
Jon
Commander.
Snow's wolf saved him and ripped off the dead man's hand or whatever. Yeah. And that's what
I don't know if he actually. I don't think he gave any credit to Jon, but yeah, he does say the wolf ripped the hand off later.
The wolf ripped the hand off outside the wall.
Yeah, and this is when Tyrion starts making fun of him.
Yeah, I mean, this is when he gives him 100 spades, and he's like, "What the fuck am I going to do with that?" Like,
yeah,
bury your dead, and okay, you can go through the cells too. Take whoever you want, and then
and this is when everyone starts laughing too, as Tyrion starts making mock of him.
Yeah, he just becomes full, like 100 shovels. Like, oh, just make sure they're actually buried and they won't come up.
And Bywater's, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's like Yorn took all the good dudes down there. Like, you're not gonna find anybody. And Tyrion's like, well,
arrest
more. For you, we got a food problem here.
He's like, just tell them there's food on the wall, and you might get people who aren't locked up.
Yeah, and we're gonna lock up a bunch more.
He also just says, lock up more.
Well,
you just lock up the people who are breaking the law because they're hungry. Before they didn't want to, but now if you have somewhere you're gonna send them, now we don't have to feed them, right? You probably just don't lock these people up because now they're your responsibility to feed, or they just let them starve.
Well, that's just jail reform.
Yeah,
send them to the wall.
So basically, Tyrion calls an end to court right there. He's like, all right, we're done.
All right, let's get out of here. He walks down, and Alistair doesn't move. He comes closer.
That wasn't enough for Tyrion. Or not enough for Alistair.
No jape.
He's pissed.
No jape.
It's like, I sailed all the fucking way here.
Like we said, 4-month journey. 4-month journey for like literally a 3-minute conversation where he just gets laughed at.
You're just sitting here making fun of me? I saw this shit. Believe me.
Yeah.
There's dead men walking.
And Tyrion is like, we'll kill them more thoroughly. And he walks by. Alistair goes for a grab. Preston puts an end to that. He's like, you're a fool. And Tyrion turns back. He's like, me? Truly? Then why were they laughing at you, I wonder? He smiled wanly. You came for men, did you not?
The cold winds are rising. The wall must be held.
And to hold it, you need men, which I've given you. As you might have noted if your ears heard anything but insults. Take them, thank me, and be gone before I'm forced to take a crab fork to you again. Give my warm regards to Lord Mormont and to Jon Snow as well. Bronn seized Sir Alistair by the elbow and marched him forcefully from the hall. So, I mean, nice. Tyrion basically says what Varys is about to say here. He's like, hey, I know I insulted you, but I gave you what you want, dude. Just be happy and get the fuck out of my face. Right? And I like how he brings up the crab fork thing, because that was great.
It's kind of fun. I mean,
in the first
one. Like, Bronn isn't.
I forgot about that.
Do we know if Alistair's
the crab fork on the table in the north?
Do we know if Alistair's a big guy? Like, he's not a small fella, right?
They say he's skinny here, but he's tall and skinny.
And Bronn is not a huge guy, correct?
Probably not huge. No, he's like smaller.
He's a quicker guy, right?
He won the fight against Egan by being
quick. But Bronn forcefully escorts him out, or you think?
I mean,
like
Sir Preston's right there too.
I just feel Alistair giving like the elbow, like get your hands off me.
They also might not have given any, like let Alistair have a sword, right? So like Alistair probably doesn't have a sword, and Bronn probably does, which. But yeah, this is where Varys comes up and gives him some things. So what's he basically? What do you do well here?
Weaken Cersei.
Two things, like two main points.
He's a Stark boy.
He's a Stark boy. At the same time,
Black brother gets the men that he seeks.
Well, no, he's a Stark boy.
Sister of protection.
Oh, okay, I got it.
And the second thing was he gave. Yeah, exactly what Kyle said. Gave the Black.
He got rid of mouths to feed in the city.
Mouths to feed, and did it all without making it look like he was afraid of Grumpkins. So we kind of covered it all, but yeah, Varys points it out, like Jeff said earlier.
Yep. And then Littlefinger comes up.
He's not happy.
Do you really mean to send the Lannister guards all the way? My sister's guards, yeah.
Like, she's not going to allow that.
And now he's like,
I mean everything I say, Mr. Littlefinger, which I don't it seems like a threat, but I don't quite understand what Tyrion's getting at here. He's like, it seems like I mean everything I say. He's like, even the lies. He's like, especially the lies, which doesn't make sense because he's lied.
That doesn't make sense.
To Littlefinger, and that's not happening, so it doesn't make sense. So I don't understand exactly what Tyrion's saying here. I'm sure there's some wit to it that's just above my head because Tyrion's smarter than me. But
I mean, maybe it's just like
I think he's just kind of saying like, don't like you'll never know what I'm saying. Like when like you know like
yeah like to kind of, I'm a liar and. you never know. Like maybe I'm telling the truth, but I'm a liar.
Yeah, because I mean it, so it sounds like it's the truth, and that's what I want, and like I'm shifty kind of thing. I think is what he's saying.
Yeah, and he's like
I can play with the big dogs like you and Varys.
Yeah, so then he's like, Tyrion's like, are you upset with me, Littlefinger? And he's like, I loved you as much as I ever have, my lord, but I don't like being played a fool. The Dorne thing, Marcella, how is she gonna go to Robb and Aaron after what you just said? And he's like, if I'm being honest, you were pretty much just a backup plan. You were plan B. All right, here's the deal. You were plan B.
I didn't know he was going to say yes to me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what if you said no?
So he's pissed. Don't put me in your next deceitful move. And he's like, well, don't do that to me.
Doesn't say it, but thinks it, yeah. And looks at the dagger.
As he's looking at the dagger.
And then Varys and Tyrion start to take a walk.
Yep, exactly.
Walk with me, Varys.
He brings out the same thing Littlefinger did. Your sister's not going to be cool with letting these guards just go.
Mm-hmm. But he's got a plan for that. He thought this went through.
And Varys is part of the plan. You're going to tell her what I'm about to tell you. That is a good
plan, right?
And Varys is like, this has to have something to do with the 4 men that your man Bronn was searching for so diligently in all the low places of King's Landing. A thief, a poisoner, a mummer, and a murderer. Tyrion's like, 4 men alone would be noticed, but 4 men in 400 won't be thought twice of. That's why you're going to tell Cersei that she has to send everyone, or else the whole Jaime plan isn't going to work. And that's really all they say. Mm-hmm. Kyle?
Well, I mean, they talk about getting him inside a river run and whatnot. So obviously they're going to try and sneak him in and knock out guards or, have somebody pretend to be him, the mummer, that kind of stuff. That's what I see.
Thief, a poison. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get specific, but it seems like they have something detailed in mind. If they have
a thief is going to steal something, a poisoner is going to poison somebody, the mummer is going to
poison the guard.
It's like a
mummer someone and a murderer is going to murder someone.
It's like a heist movie. Like, is it what's? I feel like I'm thinking of Baby Driver. I don't know if they actually do this in Baby Driver where they all have like different roles. Like you're the driver, you're the safe man.
Well, it's just like any like bank robbery. Like, all right, you're gonna do the electric vault. I'm gonna
the bus driver.
Right. That's exactly what it is. So, don't bring up Baby Driver when you could have just pulled out the Joker.
Jeff, you would love Baby Driver. Okay, well, Baby Driver is a great.
It's a very entertaining movie.
Is it better than The Dark Knight?
No, but it's a great movie.
Shut up.
But it's a very entertaining movie.
So they continued to talk.
We get the classic Tyrion thing on Cersei. Varys like, well, she's going to be uneasy even if she does agree to send the guards away. Then she's going to be on her watch afterwards. She's going to be uneasy. And Tyrion's like, I like her uneasy. It was the same thing he's told Bronn or something like that before.
Just keeping her on her toes. I really think he likes putting her on the emotional roller coaster of, oh, you're fucked. I got control over you. Oh, wait, we're happy together. Blah, 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 blah. She's just not.
Oh, you're slapping me now.
Tyrion's not controlling a lot of that, though. A lot of that's just like what random news is coming to the city. Like, he didn't try and make her happy today, just that they got really good news, right? But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Gaslighting the shit
out. The roller coaster definitely helps.
They just gaslight each other.
Sir Cleo's Frey leaves with the Lannister guard and the Stark men.
Yep.
And Tyrion wants to feast with the Stone Curves and the Moon Brothers.
Yep. Real quick before that, he swings by Timett and he's like, "Yo, you got to meet me at my solar."
So they're eating, and there's talk of he asked Shagga what moon is out there.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I was thinking right before this was, is this a Ned parallel? Like, didn't Ned tell Robb like you should like feast like different men every night and like get to know them? And Ned literally did this in the small hall here in King's Landing. Like we saw it with the Arya chapters, and now Tyrion's doing it. It's like pretty cool. Yeah. And they like Tyrion. Like,
is he doing it for that reason, or is it because he's about to go break down Pycelle's door
and he wanted
Shagga's axe?
But the Moon Brothers are here. He doesn't take anybody from the Moon Brothers to Pycelle. He takes Shagga, who's a Stonecrow, and Timett, who's not even here. So like he's feasting some of his men and not. Like that's why he swings by Timett before.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So Timett isn't coming to eat. He's just coming for the later on deal.
Before he goes to eat, he swings by Timett. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So we learn that this is it a black moon?
Yep.
New moon
is also the traitor moon.
That's what they call it. Yep. And
don't get drunk.
Tyrion doesn't get drunk because he wants his wits, but he tells Shagga like, make sure your axe is sharp. And he's like,
he says try not to get too drunk.
Shagga's axe is
sharp. And Tyrion has mentioned to us that he's not drinking anything, but Shagga's like, a Stonecrow's axe is always sharp. Mine's Shagga's just the best. He's like,
he doesn't say anything about say anything about being too drunk. He's not worried about that.
He ignores that. Head, but he didn't know until he tried to brush his hair.
Is that why your hair's always messed up?
Is that why you never brush yours?
Everyone laughs. Shagga laughs the loudest. Yeah, they like Tyrion.
Kyle, who did you think? Whose door do you think they were breaking down?
I mean, I had no idea what was going on here. That's what I said at the beginning. Like, it was a pretty big blindside for sure.
Any first thought? Like, did anybody come to mind?
I had no idea, honestly. I thought maybe Like, I didn't see
It's
why
not
it would be
easy, for
Cersei,
sure.
but what's that?
If I had to like think of somebody else, like maybe Lancel, just because he was mentioned earlier, and it was like, "Fuck you, Lancel!"
Especially
like,
with what Kyle knows.
Like, let me come scare you, Shagga. But really, I guess nobody, like who, Littlefinger, maybe just come scares the shit out of Littlefinger.
I actually I didn't know that it was a person's door. To be honest, I thought they were trying to get into some room or something that they weren't supposed to be in, but I had no idea. I
that would make
tell
sense.
you what it was going to be.
I know we try and not go too deep on the show stuff or comparisons because we got into spoiler territory, but this is just a way better scene in the books in the show. I think like it's just way faster, and it's just like come in, cut his beard off, and they're done. Basically, I mean, there's a girl there, but like cut his beard off, and they're done. Basically, like. In this one, there's like he's like bleeding. He's completely naked. Yeah. He's pissing all over himself.
Well, they like interrogate him a little bit more. Like it's feels more of an interrogation in this scene.
Yeah. And I think it's just Bronn and Tyrion in the show. Like that, none of the clansmen really make it to King's Landing in the show. It's all they cut them all out and just have Bronn do all that shit.
It's too much money to pay them all.
Stupid.
So they break down the door. We see a serving.
Are cheap, dude.
We see it not when there's 100 of them, but we see a serving girl who's scared in the bed. Shagga likes her. Shagga's a fan.
Shagga wants this woman.
Shagga wants every whore in the city of whores.
Timot's just like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, Tyrion's like, get out. We don't want you. And Shagga's like, wait, hold on here. We do want you.
We're not here for you. Wait, mad. I like you. I want you.
Yeah. And when they call him out, he's like, Shagga wants every whore. He's like, yes, I do. I'll give them all strong children. I'll give her a strong children. Tyrion's like, well, now if she wants a strong children, she knows where to look.
Know where to find
Let her go. Timot, take her out. This poor girl. First off, she had to fuck Pycelle. Then
she's getting shoved out the door by Timot.
She's probably actually happy that they showed up. Yeah, she's probably happy.
Pycelle could be a good bang. You never know. So now we pull the covers back and we see Pycelle naked hiding under them.
Well, even when they pull, the blankets, he's hiding under the blankets. They pull the curtains back, and that's when they see the girl. Pycelle's like, what? They got the blankets completely pulled over him, completely silent during this whole ordeal. Just such a pussy, dude.
Seriously.
Yeah. He's like 90.
Still such a pussy.
Whatever.
Decently old enough, but
what is this guy gonna do?
He did just get his door hacked down, and he's not supposed to have a girl. So
yeah,
he's.
Have we? I don't know the exact rules on that. I'm pretty sure you're right. They're not supposed to like.
No, it said that here. I mean, he's like, how do you
the Citadel?
The Citadel preview betting the serving wenches.
And he says for once his eyes were wide open. His like normally droopy eyes were like wide open for the first time ever.
Yeah, he sleeps in every other scene.
And he's like, I'm a servant. I'm a loyal servant.
And he's saying he serves House Lannister, right? Or
he's just like, I'm your servant. I'm a loyal servant. He's like, yeah, so loyal you sent only one letter to Doran and gave the other one to my sister. He's like, no, it wasn't me. It was Varys. He's like, no.
Yeah, definitely tried to pin
Here's
it on
the
Varys.
plan. I did a sick plan. Here it is. I fooled you.
I can't believe he told him the whole plan, though.
Well, at least he did like he's not like the evil villain. He told him after the fact, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so he's like, here's the whole plan.
He wasn't. What's it called?
Monologuing. Well,
monologuing.
Again, I think like
it was a little backpack.
He says it here to clarify for the reader, I think, right? Too like we told you last chapter, Kyle, but like even last chapter, you were still a little bit confused on what this was without some clarification. So I think this is like the definite clarification, which is why Tyrion's being a little exposition.
This is what it is. The monologue we needed, not the one we wanted.
I get it. I mean, I understand it as a plot vehicle. It's just funny.
So then once he knows that, he's like, well, then the birds were stolen. The message was stolen. The birds fell. Like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. He's like, Varys. It must have been Varys. I can tell you stories that will chill his blood. He's like, my lady likes my blood hot. And he's like,
your blood. Show your blood.
And Tyrion's like, I like my lady likes my blood hot. He's like, I can tell you Varys, for every secret he hides, for every secret he tells you, he keeps 7 to himself. And Littlefinger, and Tyrion's like, I know about Littlefinger. He's almost as bad as you. Shut the fuck up. Shagga, cut off his manhood. Feed it to the goats. Cut off his manhood.
There's no goats here.
Make do. Figure it out.
He doesn't really try and go for his.
They had to have talked about this before.
Manhood.
Yeah, they had to have
talked.
Like,
hey, I'm going to say manhood. Do you just go scare him?
Yeah.
How about just like instant pee? That's kind of weird.
Or do they think, or does manhood mean beard in this world? And we've just always been misreading.
Well, I didn't know if that was a Maester thing as well. I didn't know if that was like.
That's the way to prove.
The chain, you know.
But you would think like
the braids for the Dothraki.
Yeah,
you cut off the Dothraki's hair, that would
really
be cutting off their manhood, right?
We should just cut
it's
off
like
his
cutting
chain.
off Dumbledore or Gandalf's beard, like old wise man's beard.
Can't do it.
Yeah,
can't do it.
You can't do it. Just grow right back.
But so he does catch him after he pees on himself. So he gets into like asking how long he's been spying for Cersei, and Pycelle's like, no, I'm not spying for Cersei. I'm just doing this for House Lannister. I've always done this for House Lannister. Even ask your dad. I'm the reason the gates were open the day of the sack of King's Landing.
Yeah, and that surprised Tyrion.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that was like the actual thing that surprised Tyrion. He didn't suspect that.
He kind of goes through why he doesn't like the Targaryens as well here, where he's like, Rhaegar died, the war was done, because Aerys was mad, Viserys was way too young, Prince Aegon was a babe, and the realm needed a king, and I was hoping it was going to be your dad, but
Ned
Robert was too strong,
and Ned was too fast.
So what's that mean, Kyle?
What does what mean?
Robert was too strong. More importantly, I think Ned was too quick.
When they get to the throne?
Ned came
Exactly.
to
Like
King's
basically
Landing.
Ned was there. Like Tywin was at King's Landing, sacked it, but like as the sack was going up, Ned showed up. So I think like Pycelle was saying, like if Ned wouldn't have gotten here as quick, maybe Tywin just would have like taken over and like locked the city down.
Yeah,
or
he would
something
have got
like
on the throne. Because wasn't Jaime already on the throne when they got
that.
there?
But I don't think Jaime wanted. He just like he said, I just wanted.
I know, but that's what I'm saying though. Like if Jaime was in there and then Tywin showed up, it would have just been over.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
and Jaime killed the king, Kingslayer. Right, and Pycelle, who's saying realm, but seems Lannister.
And Tywin's army was
open the gates.
And Tywin's army was pretty unscathed, right? They stayed out of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, they basically just opened the gates.
For most of the part, except for the sack.
Right, but I'm saying like all the earlier fighting they weren't a part of. So yeah, so like they were fairly healthy, if you want to speak in that
they pulled
terms.
the phrase and just showed
I don't know too much about that. I don't think. Not saying you're spoiling anything.
I think everything we just covered is we've talked about at least at some point before.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess they only talk about it very briefly and sprinkled throughout.
Yep.
So the next kind of tangent we get on is like, all right, well, how many people have you betrayed then?
Exactly. Aerys, Eddard, me, Robert, Lord Aaron, Rhaegar. Where does it begin, Pycelle? He knew where it ended.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right here.
Yeah. So as Shagga is getting the last of his hairs off, he's saying that like Robert's wounds were beyond saving. I could have done anything. And Tyrion's like, I know, right? I know that. But if they weren't, you would have made sure that he died anyway. And then he kind of admits, he doesn't admit to it, but he's like, yeah, but he was a bad king. Like, it's okay. He was a bad king. He whored all the time and stuff like that.
And he was going to sell out your sister for Marjorie.
For Marjorie, yeah. It was Renly's plan. And he's like, well, then what was Jon Arryn plotting? And he's like,
he knew, but he knew.
And Tyrion's like, I know what he knew.
I know too. Don't tell Shagga and Timid here.
Exactly, yeah. He's like, he was sending his wife back to the Eyrie, and his son was going to be fostered at Dragonstone. He meant to act. And Tyrion's like, but you poisoned him first. And it's like, no, I didn't, I swear.
Pretty adamant that he didn't poison him.
But Tyrion says he saw it on the shelves, and he knows he sent away the maester. And he's like, I tried to save Jon Arryn. And this was like, Shagga, cut him a little closer, and then blood starts running down his neck. Earlier, I think we skipped over it. Timett was when Shagga first goes on him, he pisses all over himself, including a little bit on Tyrion's
I mentioned that.
And Timett is like, Tyrion at one point, Timett's like, Tyrion's like, Timett, do you think the lack of whiskers is going to make him talk a little more? He's like, oh, he'll start talking. I can smell his fear. Is that shit? Do you shit himself?
No, yeah, I think so.
That's probably.
I think that's more. That's kind of a saying too. Like
we talked about this before, where somebody said they could smell fear, and it was because they pissed.
I think it's just like, what else you can do? Like you can see fear, and it's like, oh, I can smell the fear on him. He's so scared, I can smell it. I think it's just a phrase, but.
Yeah, I agree with Jeff, but also
I mean he might.
What was weird? It was like I can smell the stank of his
fear. Yeah,
the stank of his fear.
I truly think it's just a phrase. I don't think everyone's pooping on themselves when they're scared, but
doesn't matter.
He was super scared though. So yeah, he's bleeding, and this is where he kind of confesses a little bit, right? What's he say?
Cersei needed him dead, but she couldn't tell me.
Somebody says, he says Coleman was purging it, so I sent the other maester away. The queen needed Lord. Oh yeah, he does say that. The queen needed Lord Aaron dead.
Thanks.
Varys was listening, always listening. But when I looked at her, I knew I was not. It was not me who gave the poison, though. I swear it. And this is where he starts talking about the squire, Sir Hugh.
Sir Hugh had to give it to him. We know that. Kyle, do you remember Sir Hugh?
Is he the one that gave? No, that was Lancel that gave Robert all the booze, wasn't it?
Yep. Sir Hugh is the one that Ned wanted to talk to about this very same thing, but he turned up dead.
He was dead
with a lance in his neck at the tourney because of Gregor.
Yeah.
The mountain that rides rode him down.
So basically, Tyrion's like, all right, take him away, put him in the black cells.
Throw him in the black cell. Snoops around a little bit, takes a couple more small jars, and he mentions that he wished he could have trusted Pycelle out of the three.
Yeah.
He was the least dangerous.
Well, he seemed like the most trustworthy. Like And I think that was kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
And I think he showed that too. Like he was maybe
also least
too loyal to Cersei to a fault.
Also
like
least capable, maybe like least clever. Like you want
Well, and he wasn't going to do anything either. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just think about the last couple times, like
just a snitch.
He was all fucking worried about the letter. Like he was kind of showing his hand more than I think Varys and Littlefinger do. Like he's up in court in arms, like you can't send the Lannister guards away. Like chill, bro. Like he could have like just ran to Cersei like he'd ended up doing and be like, hey, Tyrion sending away your guard. Like we gotta send word to stop him, type shit. Like and he just doesn't know how to. He didn't know how to be a conniver.
Yeah. And the last thing that Tyrion thinks about is like maybe Tywin was right. When the last thing that Tywin
killed all three.
Yeah, like I think when Tywin sends Tyrion off, he's like there's a bunch of fools giving counsel in King's Landing. He's like, it might be the best to just kill them all. That's what Tywin literally says. That it might just be the best to kill them all and get new counselors. Tyrion decides he's going to find out who he can trust, who he can't. But he's like, fuck, maybe I should have killed them all.
Been a little bit quicker, maybe.
Yeah.
But,
that's pretty much it, right?
That's it.
Yeah, that was it.
So, Kyle, bold predictions. What's going to happen when the Lannister force goes west, east, west,
north?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well,
Tywin's?
no, they're. Well, so Tyrion
said
that.
I mean, they said that, but I don't know that
Lock...
he's going to do that. I still don't know what's happening there at Harrenhal.
What happens with the war?
I mean, everything just blew up. Like literally, the entirety of it. Because you got the Greyjoys from the north and the west, and you got Stannis and Renly in the east now, and you got King's Landing is kind of unprotected. And you got the Lannisters that could potentially pinch between both the Lannisters. I'm not too worried about the western Casterly Rock ones, I don't think, personally, currently. But you still got Tywin's army, and then he can pinch going north as well if Robb retreats. Robb's in a bad spot, I guess, is where I'm trying to get at here. And he doesn't know it.
One thing that you like to bring up too, Kyle, that I missed it when I lied out, but Tyrion mentions the chain when he's talking to Cersei, right? He's like, why shouldn't I be happy? And he thinks to himself, everything's going well. The chain's getting longer by the day. So Kyle's favorite Tyrion chain, he mentions. Too.
Yeah, I still don't know. It didn't get any clearer. How's that? I got to stand by my original prediction.
And the only other thing I think we get a prediction on is the thief, mummer, poisoner thing, but we kind of covered that already. Like it's hard to get an exact thing.
As much as I could. Yeah.
Gonna get a little. What's that movie where they break into the casinos? Oceans, something.
11.
I never seen any of them. I think there's multiple.
11, 12, 13.
Never seen them either.
And 10, I think.
Then
was
Ocean
the
7.
Is that right?
I think it was 7.
Okay. I don't know. I never saw any of them.
All right. Well,
I don't know. I think South Park has a joke about that where they're like, you can never get 11 ladies to work together like that.
All right. Well, this one will be coming out shortly after Christmas. Everyone have a happy holidays. If you don't celebrate Christmas, happy whatever you celebrate. Hope everyone's having a good time.
Kwanzaa, Hanukkah.
Join the Discord. Discord's been popping off lately. I don't think we have any videos or anything for the Discord to show this week, but any videos and shit, maps, they always go in there. So check out the Discord.
Check out my memes.
Check out Jeff's memes. We'll see it.
Check out my videos.
We'll see some of you guys in the spoiler section and the rest of you guys in the next one. Have a good one,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Happy holidays.
All right, later, guys.
See you, Cal.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
See you later, Cal. It was great hanging out, bud. But we'll see you on the next episode for Arya 6. Now, the spoiler section for Tyrion 6. Boys, what are your hot takes for this episode?
I'm curious to see what Nelson's points are because I have one that I like, man, there's something fishy about this line, but I really don't have anything.
First one, I got a couple sweets.
There's a bunch. There's two sweets right off the bat.
Three
Sweet
sweets.
Sister,
and then Sweet
I know that
Alistair.
one. When
there's
Barry
another
says
one
Sweet
right
Alistair.
after.
Barry says Sweet Alistair. That's one of the ones I had. Glow or Jeff? What's the other one you have? This is.
Well, there's
Sweet Sister.
Sweet Sister.
Yep.
And then there's something like right after that was sweet too. Oh, Sweet Dreams or Sweet Dreams about
Sweet Dreams,
Robert
that's
being
right. I
dead.
didn't like that.
She sleeps in Robert's deathbed to get sweet dreams. That's fucked up.
That is fucked up, and we
That's
already
like
know
some
there's
witch
fucked up
shit. That's
There's
like
already
some
fucked
evil
up
witch
shit with dreams too.
Yeah, exactly. Sweet dreams. Yeah, and Sweet Alistair. Those are the two I had.
Okay.
The one I had I kind of talk about, why did Robert slight Stannis? No fucking idea.
No idea.
I mean, there's a long history. They might have just like not liked each other.
He already did Stannis so wrong. He literally fucked Stannis' wife's cousin in their marriage bed on Stannis' wedding night. That was what Robert.
I don't see it.
If anything, you feel like Robert should owe Stannis something after doing that. Like that was a huge dishonoring that he did.
Is it that big of a deal?
In his marriage bed? Yeah, in his marriage. I mean, if I'm Stannis, I don't give a fuck, right? Like if one of you guys fucks I'm laughing it off. But it's not like that. Stannis is not like that. This is a different time. Right?
I don't know, man. On my wedding night and you slept in my fucking bed, I'd be kind of fucking pissed.
I mean, did you sleep there or did you bang there?
I'd give you a high five on the way out, change the sheets, and get to work. You know what I mean? Like, who gives a fuck? The thing is, there are different people. And like, at college, this happened. Like, I don't know.
For sure.
I mean, it happened all the time.
I used to have a friend that would stay at my room multiple times.
The man. An absolute legend.
The GOAT. Now,
he never fucked anybody
I also had a friend.
No way he ever fucked anybody in your bed.
I will tell you a story later. I also had a friend, though, who he came, brought his now fiance. They've got a baby together. So it worked out. It was cool stuff. He was like, hey, man, like, before we go out, like, trying to get it in quick. And they just did it like standing next to the bed. Like you could have just.
That's so courteous.
That is very nice of him.
Left it. You know what kind of bro I am when we're on this talk? One time, I have an apartment, live by myself. My buddy who still lives at home was out in Philly, and he texted me. He's like, "Yo, I got this girl. I need a place to take her. My parents are home. I can't take her there. Anyway, you're not at your apartment right now?" And I was like, "I can leave for like I'll give you 45 minutes." And I got a dog, so I took. And it's like 10 o'clock, maybe 11, probably later than this at night. I take my dog out. We go to the park, go for a walk at like 11 o'clock. My buddy goes over to my house. I come back. He's not fucking leaving. I come back looking through the window. They're still looking exactly like Pycelle and the serving girl in this fucking chapter on my fucking couch. Right? He kept it on the couch though. But like, I gotta be like bang. I'm literally gotta get him out of there banging on the window. I had to come in there and throw them out of the fucking house. So sometimes being a bro like that doesn't always end up.
You're just too nice of a bro.
So I have nothing for this besides the sweets.
How about
I've got a quote I want to read. Hold on.
Oh, besides Cersei
it's going to be Nelson. It's going to be Nelson heavy, I believe. So let me just throw this out there just to see if there's anything more, so you guys can hear me talk, because you guys love hearing me talk. I know that. It's when Alistair's presenting and Tyrion. It's when Tyrion knows that something could be fucked up there. A wolf, a wind, a dark forest. It meant nothing, and yet it's got to mean something. That quote.
The thing is, I felt like this was a huge miss by George, and I even mistyped this when I typed it in my notes. What is it, Jeff? Say it again. A wolf.
A wolf. A wind.
A wolf.
A wolf. I'll never say it that way. It's a wolf.
I just wanted Jeff to say it. I just wanted Jeff to say it again.
Can you say wolf for me? How do you pronounce wolf? Wolf. Say it really loud. Wolf. She's woofing over there.
No, she's not. I heard the L.
Sounds like she's barking.
It's a wolf.
What's he saying? Wolf.
Wolf.
There's an L in there.
Are you woofing or wolfing?
Wolf.
Woof.
No, I don't know.
She's kind of in between the two. I think she would. Danielle, I'm going to read a quote. Do I say this weird? A wolf? I can't. A wolf, a wind, a dark forest. It meant nothing. A wolf. Do you think I'm saying the onomatopoeia?
Are you saying an L at all?
Or wolf? Like there's a.
When you just asked that question to Deepam, you said wolf right.
Way.
No, you said wolf right, which tells me that you're saying it wrong. You said, am I saying the onomatopoeia wolf or am I saying wolf? Which tells me you know how to say it.
I think I'm saying, like, that we mentioned, there was another thing that I said where I was like.
What did Deepam say?
She didn't really answer. She
went back to her macaroni.
There was something else where, like, I say it a little bit faster, and I think it was a name. I was like, no, we're saying the same thing, but I'm just, like, pronouncing it in a, like, maybe an accent-ish type of thing. Like, I'm saying wolf. I'm just not putting. I'm not putting the emphasis on the L. I'm putting it on the F. Like you guys are saying wolf, wolf.
Check
I'm saying wolf.
Check the
I'm
Discord
saying wolf. There's
for
an
the
L there. It's just
for
wolf.
the picture of that dog.
Can we get
All
a?
right, go ahead, Jeff. So this quote, I thought
This
there was
quote
something
is-
weird about it too.
I mean, it's just too like. Whenever we see like 4 things, it's like, what is this symbolizing? Is the wolf symbolizing a Stark?
Mhm.
What would a wind be? A wind, you think of like sailing a ship. Does that mean the Greyjoys?
So
I'm
what I was going to say, I think he missed out on was when I wrote this in my quotes, I wrote a wolf, a wind, and a wood, a haunted wood. I feel like the alliteration just works there. And he says forest instead of wood, but he says wood
Well,
instead
he's
of
not
forest all
writing
the time.
poetry.
He says wood instead of forest all the time, and he kind of.
But it's the dark forest. I mean,
Yeah.
it
I'm not
literally
saying
is the
0%,
haunted
but
forest.
I just feel like it would work well. That wasn't a huge point, but
there's nothing there, Nelson. It's just
I
like
don't
we
know.
think
I
it's
definitely thought like, I'm trying to
Make
find
note
it
of
in
it,
my
Jeff.
notes.
We'll bring it up when Winds of Winter comes out.
I mean, I'm just thinking like, obviously, Wolf Stark. A wind could be sailing. It could not be. Who knows?
Where it's
It could be.
is it when he calls him a fool or when
children
he's
of the
still
forest.
on the throne?
a child of the forest?
He is
it's when he's
still up
on
on
the
the throne. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
he's
great
thinking
white
about it.
wolf at a cold night in the stars when he stood beside a boy Jon Snow, and a great white wolf at the top of the wall at the end of the world, gazing out at the trackless track beyond. He had felt what? That? Yeah, something to be sure. A dread had cut through him like that frigid north wind. A wolf had where? I'm not at the same quote. A wolf had howled off in the night, and the sound had sent the shiver through him.
Dude, it's literally the next line. A wolf had howled off in the night, and the sound had sent a shiver through him. Don't be a fool, he told himself.
You're right. Somewhere
wolf,
it says
a wind.
a wolf.
A wolf, a wind, a dark forest. It meant nothing, and yet ...
Oh, gotcha.
He had.
Yeah, I see now.
Oh, so maybe like Jeff. Right now, it means nothing to us, but when Winds of Winter comes out, we'll understand what that fucking
Ooh.
3
Oh, I mean,
words
there's
mean.
another thing.
Three-
Wind. That's the only wind
Winds
isn't a
of
big
winter.
word for us.
I mean, the titles normally mean something, right? A Game of Thrones, they say it all the time. They still say it in this book. The Clash of Kings is literally
there's
about the
5.
War of 5 Kings. Storm of Swords is like the actual fighting. Feast of Crows is Brienne mostly walking through the Riverlands, seeing literally the feast
just
all
crows
these dead
eating
bodies.
the dead.
It's literally just like the aftermath.
Dance
of
of
the war.
Dragons is Aegon, Daenerys, and
Yeah.
Jon Snow.
And let's go into one of my points. Tyrion. My lady likes my blood hot. Tyrion's a Targaryen. Hot blooded.
Hey,
Tyrion.
I mean,
Tyrion.
maybe.
All right, that's not bad. I don't hate that.
We talked. What was the other big Tyrion point where I was like, he's fucking. Was it
His
Tyrion?
eyes.
There was a time where and fuck his eyes. It was like,
Tyrion's a time traveling fetus. He's Danny's baby. He time traveled.
No, I don't want it to be time traveling.
That's definitely not the one you like.
There was something we
That's not
talked
what
about
you
a
do. I'm
couple
gonna be so
spoilers,
fucking
and I was
pissed.
like, bam, like you're right. Like I was on one side, and then you brought this little piece in, and I was like,
what it was
actually,
when I reminded you about when Cersei, when they burned the Tower of the Hand, and Cersei's staring at the flames, and I was like, and Jaime's saying that he's never seen anybody look at burning wildfire like that since Ares, and then I talked about how when they say
Ares could have banged.
the whole thing, they kind of works with either one, but then I said the flip of the coin, Targaryen is like, and then you have Jaime, Cersei, who are twins. Cersei,
Yeah.
I think both of you guys were like, oh shit, it's not Tyrion, it's the other two.
I thought it was one of these like Jon moments, like Jon's a Targaryen, Jon's not a Targaryen, Jon's a fucking nobody. But whatever, that's important, not important. You know what I was thinking today? Just because I was listening to the radio, and the guy just quickly mentioned how he read through sports radio, by the way. So it's nice to get a little fresh air sometimes. Just watched all Game of Thrones again, and he was like, "Oh, it was great. Ending's bad." And then he got into like how bad of Jon Snow's arc was, that he killed Dany and then got sent to the wall when there was nothing to do at the wall. Like how just
nothing
bad
of his
of an ending.
parentage really mattered at all. It served to be one minor conflict between him and Dany towards the end.
And then he goes off with fucking Tormund.
But like,
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
the him and like the his parentage becomes a conflict. They get over it immediately, right? That's not why he kills her. That's not the big conflict at the end of the show, right?
Yeah.
Like it's literally like an episode and a half hiccup. The whole like R plus L equals J, the biggest thing ever. It becomes
It's
like
only a
R-
conflict when they're in the. I guess like Dany carries it around a little bit, but
And I think I said this when we did the reviews of the show. Like it's only conflict because of when Sam tells Jon. Like, he literally decides to tell Jon minutes before the Night King attacks. Like, if you just wait till afterwards, when there's like time to talk about everything through. Like, I guess Jon doesn't tell Dany till afterwards, so it's not a big deal. But they get over it so quick. Doesn't matter.
What's next?
Next thing, not a huge one. The Arbor Gold. I brought up Arbor Gold before, and when they bring up Arbor Gold, they're like
that's
wine.
the wine, right?
Maybe, yeah. It's a type of wine. Apparently,
who's drinking the Arbor Gold?
There's none in this chapter. There's none in this chapter. It's Arbor Red. But I noticed it, but like no one's lying. Tyrion's.
But who's drinking Arbor Red? I don't even remember.
That's
when
Tyrion.
That's when they
the
toast
poison in there.
Yeah, I was like, this Arbor Gold, but then I was like, it's not Arbor Gold, it's Arbor Red, and I've heard theories about Arbor Gold being with lies, kind of like the sweet thing. But there's not really lies. Like, Tyrion's just like telling her news.
All right, so I thought of one more here, and I thought about it while I was reading. Tyrion grabs more small jars, right? And we know that Joffrey's going to be poisoned at some point, which I believe Pycelle uses in the trial to be like, hey, he stole more jars from me when 100%. I got back from the cell.
Yep.
You're a firm believer that the poison was actually meant for Tyrion.
I think it's a really good theory. Yeah. I think it makes more sense than what we've seen otherwise. That Littlefinger was trying to kill Tyrion, poisoned the pie instead of the wine, and Joffrey takes a bite of Tyrion's pie.
Right. Joffrey
drinks the wine, talks like a whole like paragraph, and then takes a bite of the food and chokes and dies.
Dies immediately.
And when we see Creston drink the exact same poison, he's talking, takes a sip, and immediately dies. Like, there's no talking after you drink this shit. And Joffrey drinks the wine, talks a fuck ton, eats the pie, and then dies. So just in terms of how the poison reacts, it makes more sense if it's in the pie. So it makes more sense if Tyrion is the target.
So how do they just put it in one slice of pie, or is it like a personal pot pie?
There's like this like cream on top, and they talk about how I think the Strangler goes well with something sweet, which is why.
Sweet.
Oh, look at that.
Sweet's just bad. Just a bad Game of Thrones word too.
I think like when they're talking about Arya, they talk about like how it's good. It's better to do it in food than it is in wine or something like that. I'm not sure. I might be wrong.
I mean, was there any thoughts about when he stole these jars? Like, holy shit! Like, this is what's going to frame him for murder in a little bit.
Huh?
Him taking these jars frames him for murder later on.
Yeah, but like Littlefinger doesn't know that. And the thing is, I'm not sure. I might be totally wrong. Does he use these jars? I will say, I'll point out one thing right now. I was raw. I missed something. Big spoiler in the last chat. We all did, but I don't expect you guys to get this. I missed a big thing. Haley pointed out in the spoiler talk of the Discord. Thank you, Haley. Carl. So when Asha and Theon are walking right up to the castle, there's 3 people that they see, and she's like, "Hey, how's your brother? How's he doing?" She's like, "Oh, the Drowned God needed another strong oarsman." And one guy's like, his belly just burst because he drank too much wine. One of those people is named Carl. I said, like, I told you guys even in the podcast, like, I wrote down these guys' names. I don't know if they actually joined Theon's crew or not. One of them is Carl the Maid, who is like a love interest of Asha, like in the future books. Like, her and Asha definitely have like a big name together.
Asha's not a lesbian.
They call him Carl the Maid because he is young. He's young, like pretty young. Is what it seems like from the. She says in the like Haley pointed out. I had thought that it just that he was like looked young.
I was trying to read this conversation and I just didn't. I wasn't following. I didn't know who Carl was. I don't know where the story goes with Carl.
Yeah, I thought that was just he couldn't grow facial hair and he like looked young. But the quote says like they passed a bunch of like young men in the street, so like he probably is pretty young. Carl. Yep. Carl the Maid. So they call him Carl. Yeah, exactly. Carl the Maid. And I just didn't put the connection together because it's like a weird spell. It's like QARL. I think it's pronounced Carl is how they at least they do it in the audiobooks.
Cool. Haley's a real one.
Yeah, that's a big shout out for Haley for catching that. Arbor Gold was the last one. Stannis. Let's see. Very beginning of the chapter, first paragraph.
Is it the song? She's the maiden fair.
This is the first time we've heard the lyrics of this
Is that the maiden fair? Is that the bear, the maiden fair?
This is called The Seasons of My Love.
Oh, I don't know this one.
This is the song that Tysha sings to Tyrion.
When they get married?
Tyrion has told Bronn about this. Tyrion tells Bronn, like, Tyrion starts whistling a tune in the first... when they get captured by the clansmen, Tyrion's like walking through the woods, and Tyrion starts whispering, and Bronn's like, "Do you want to get caught or whatever?" And Tyrion's like, "Do you have no appreciation for music?" And he tells Bronn, like, "The first girl I bedded used to sing this song to me." this we don't hear any lyrics because Tyrion was whistling it in that chapter, but this is the lyrics to that song. And that's why Tyrion.
How do you know that?
It becomes a more important song because like we get more seasons every book. Like the verses. This is a verse. I loved a maid as fair as summer with sunlight in her hair. I loved a maid as fair as spring with flowers in her hair. I loved a maid as fair as autumn with.
You just said
leaves
fall.
in her hair.
I don't remember them. Something like that.
Okay. I mean, yeah. How would we know about that spoiler? That's why you're
connection.
Here. Yeah, but no one. You're here for that. You and Haley are here for that.
Yeah.
I'm just the talent. Glow's just the guy.
Thanks. You're the talent, and I'm the guy. Nelson's just the dude. All right. So what else, Nelson?
One thing is I almost dropped it in the non-spoiler. The John Aaron thing. Jeff starts reading the quote, and I'm like, no, he didn't say that because it's technically not true.
What are you talking about?
Pycelle starts talking about all I did, what I did for House Lannister. Oh wait, no, where is it?
The only thing I mentioned was mentioned in this chapter. I didn't make any lies up.
No, you're right. I said I fucked up. So this is when he's talking about the John Aaron thing. He's like, yes, he whispered, Coleman was purging him, so I sent him away. The queen needed John Aaron dead. She did not say so, could not. Varys was listening, always listening. You said the queen said so.
Probably something where you cut me off and I was...
No, you said
queen. I said the queen needed him dead.
Exactly.
I said the queen needed him dead.
And I cut you off saying like, well, no, he didn't say that because in my mind I'm like, that's not actually what happened. I don't want Jeff purposely giving Kyle false information, because we know that it's actually from Littlefinger. But you're right. It's like so like
but the queen did need him dead.
I didn't realize how much George force-feeded the misdirect here. Like he was force feeding Cersei did this. Like everyone in their right mind believes Cersei did this already. And here he's just like literally throwing it down like it's a final Cersei did this. But even Varys gives a very or Pycelle gives a very glint of hope. He says,
"Oh, Varys
she did not say so. Could not. Varys was listening, always listening. But when I looked at her, I knew."
Well, I mean, and that's the other part is like there's no mention of the guy who's actually responsible for it is not mentioned at all in this deal. So it's like, hey, keep your eyes on these two.
Well, there's one mention. He's like, Littlefinger, the things I could tell you, but Varys cuts him off, or Tyrion cuts him off. He's like, I know about Littlefinger. He's almost as bad as you. I
mean, is a Littlefinger, is Lysa giving the poison one of the biggest like jaw dropping moments ever?
Yeah,
besides
absolutely.
Red
like that's
Wedding
such
and
a
the Purple
fucking.
Wedding, I think that's third.
One of the things is I love it. I think it's jaw dropping. Kyle. And I'm predicting this like a book and a half in advance. Here's what Kyle's going to say. Well, who cares, though? It doesn't matter anymore.
Well, yeah.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Well,
because like at that point, it is a crazy like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But you're right. At that point, it doesn't matter. Like that's so long ago. Like what's going to come of that now?
Well, and this is
like what Cersei's name gets cleared in whose eyes? Like who gives a fuck if Cersei's done so much more bad shit? Who gives a fuck if she didn't kill Jon Aaron? But and Lysa's dead.
It's like, come on, Kyle. Like, all right, like, whose door do you think they were banging down? Like, even for a second, like, there's little moments where I forget what's happening next. So like, I'm kind of, I kind of love, and I feel like Nelson even told me, like, oh, next chapter is the one where we get Pycelle. And, like, I listened to him. I listen to him one ear out the other so much that when I'm reading this, like, it's almost like I'm reading it like a 1.5 time. Yeah, like, oh yeah, like I remember this part, but I don't really remember the minute details of they knocked down an axe door. Like Kyle's mind should have been swimming with like, oh shit, is this? And I tried like, oh, is it Lancel? Is it Littlefinger? Is it fucking anybody?
I mean, also,
and he's like, I don't know.
I know. And here's another one that doesn't like last long, but like I think a huge one is when Tyrion puts the poison in Cersei's cup. I mean, it only lasts for like a page before you find out that she's just pooping.
I poisoned her. He says he
did poison her, right?
And he says I poisoned her.
He did poison her. Like, by the definition of poison, he poisoned her.
Yeah, but it's like, did he think at all like, oh shit,
he's gonna kill her?
But
it's like Cersei's not waking up tomorrow type shit. But yeah, you only have a page there. But like again, like if we would ask Kyle, he'd be like, no, I didn't really.
Oh no, we're gonna kill her.
Well, at the same point, he knows Cersei lives until episode or season 8.
Kyle's just a emotionally even keeled guy for majority of his life.
I mean, you need some little. Oh my god! Like people on YouTube, how many like people who are really good on YouTube? I don't like them because you can tell they're just faking it. But the people who have millions of views are like the ones who do like, oh my God, to like everything, right?
Yeah. Well, all right. And I'll just say
I'm
a
not
little
saying
bit
we
different.
should do that. We're real here. We're real.
We're real. We're realer than
We're fucking
realer
real.
than real.
Kyle fucking falls asleep and Jeff's watching football during some of the episodes.
No, you
We're
mean
real here.
Glow falls asleep. I do tend to peek at the TV
Kyle
screen.
pays attention. I'm not gonna say the wrong shit about
Kyle
Kyle.
pays
I'll
attention.
diss Kyle where he deserves it. But Kyle's got the book open and he's always following along. He is watching hockey sometimes, but he's always got the book open.
Give this example. The first part of one of Dunk and Egg, I gave a shit prediction, right? I was like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Like, they're just gonna. And then when I realized that something crazy happened, the next moment I got a chance of predicting, I fucking like went balls to the wall.
So Kyle kind of has that, right? But also like think about what percentage of the chapters he has where crazy shit's happening, right? You had like 50%. First half was like not boring, but
Right.
setup.
I guess so.
The
Egg
second
was
half
different.
was bombshell.
It
Game
is,
of
and
Thrones is way more setup
Yeah,
than it is
crazy.
bombshell.
It's so much harder because you get like the next time it's going to be like a character building. Like his prediction, like he's been right a couple times. It's going to take like a book for him to be right.
Which is why we never know if he's right.
Yeah, because we always forget.
It's still fun to hear. It's still fun to hear.
We
the
do
predictions,
forget.
though.
We're like, wait, did you predict that? Yeah.
And it also
All right,
sucks
enough
because, like,
about
again, I
Kyle.
think it's hard to keep. Like he said sometimes, like I'll finish an episode, like a chapter, and I bet you this was one of them. He just wants to keep reading, but he can't. Now he has to sit and wait, which like not intentionally, but by a side effect of the podcast, like inflicting like a lesser experience or like, you know what I mean? Like a lesser, you don't get as excited by forcing you to, okay, now you got to wait a week.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess that's not true. Like some people do the same thing for like TV shows, but at least when that's happening, you can like look up what other people are thinking or like talk to your friends about it. He's
It's
talking
such
to us
a
about it here.
disconnected TV show. Like, how many chapters actually like fall in line story wise? Like, a lot of that doesn't happen until the end of the books. I feel like when we get to the Blackwater, and then when we get to the Red Wedding.
I mean, we've been talking about this chain
a
for
lot of
how
it,
many
so,
fucking
like,
weeks now?
Yeah, especially and when you have to wait for like a TV episode. Like I have a thing in the top of like in my notes that tells me what chapter each episode takes place in, if it does take place in an episode. And you have like 7 or 8 chapters taking place in an episode. So it's not like Kyle's waiting a week for an episode. He's waiting a week for an eighth of an episode.
Each chapter
You know what I
is
mean?
basically a scene in a TV show, and they cut out people, they cut out lines.
Well, like this one would be 3 scenes, right? This Tyrion will be a Cersei scene, then it'd be a throne room scene, then it'd be a Pycelle scene. But it would probably all be in the same episode,
In one episode.
along with all the other 3 scenes from the last Bran one and the last, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
exactly. It's like 7 episodes per 7 chapters.
And
7
for the
chapters per
majority
episode.
of them, you're mixing Dany in too. Like Dany's, there wasn't many.
I'm sure
episodes
even
where-
I'm sure even season 2 Dana doesn't get much. And Glow, I
I don't know
don't
about
mind saying
that.
it.
I don't know, dude.
Because like you said, Danny's one of the ones that he knows lives to the end. But be careful about saying how many chapters people get because it spoils how important they are. Right? Like Kyle probably now knows that not too much going to happen with Dan. Again, I don't think this is a huge one, but like if someone dies, right? Like maybe someone dies early on. I don't know if we have any chapter. Or if we
Well,
have
I'm not
any
going to say.
characters like that.
I was just saying, Danny has. We're literally over a third of the way through the book, and we haven't had.
So like
2 Dany
Ares
chapters.
Oakheart. Ares Oakheart gets what, 1
Yeah,
chapter?
I'm not going to say.
Maybe-
Oh yeah,
I think
Ares
he-
Oakheart only has 2 chapters. I'm not going to say
2,
that.
I think.
I think he might.
I think he
I
has
think he
2.
might only have 1 because he dies early. He dies like
I
halfway
thought
through
he
that book.
had one where he talks about the girl, and then the second one he dies for the girl.
Ariane also has
There's a couple.
POV chapters.
Maybe he's just in.
So
one.
I think he
Yeah.
has one, and then he is in one of hers.
Yeah.
I think
Alright.
George has said he wished he didn't have any. But yeah, do I have any more? The John Aaron thing we talked about. Blah blah blah. Thief, poisoner, mummer, murderer.
I don't remember this at all.
That was.
So obviously it doesn't come through.
I don't
It's
think
not in the
anything
show.
comes
Not
with
in the
it.
show.
I don't think anything comes of this.
Because Catelyn's the one.
Jamie does escape.
But that's through Catelyn.
Jamie does escape, but they capture
Jamie
him.
escapes because of.
No.
Of who,
He
though?
escapes for like a day or 2, and they recapture
Okay.
him. But he escapes from this attempt.
So who do they poison?
I don't know who they poison. People are actually like, I guess that's like kind of left up to debate. Maybe they poison some
Do they
guards to
like
be
poop
asleep.
poison? Like
Maybe
poop
they
poison
poison some
people?
guards to be asleep. But here's the quote from the other chapter. What I'm not sure exactly what chapter it is, but Catelyn was shocked. You killed envoys because when she gets back to River Run, it must be the last chapter of this book. When she gets back to River Run, they're all hanging there. These 3 are hanging there, I think, and 3 of them. And Catelyn was shocked. You killed envoys. False envoys, Edmure declared. They pledged me their peace and surrendered their weapons, so I allowed them freedom of the castle. And for 3 nights they ate my meat and drank my mead, whilst I talked with Sir Cleos. On the 4th night, they tried to free the Kingslayer. He pointed up. That big brute killed 2 guards with naught but those hands of his, probably the murderer. He caught them by the throats and smashed their skulls together while that skinny lad beside him was opening Lannister's cell with a bit of wire. God's curse him. Probably the thief. The one at the end was some sort of damn mummer. He used my own voice to command that the river gate be opened. And then they escaped through a boat once they opened one of the gates. I wonder
who the poisoner is.
So the poisoner, that's
where I'm reading this is a Reddit post right now where someone says 4 men were sent, but 3 men were found. What happened to the poisoner? Wondering if he's still around or
he bailed.
Someone in the comments said that there's a mention somewhere in the chapter that he put people to sleep, but there's no quote, so I'm not saying to buy it. If anybody has any mentions of it, do as Haley does and correct us in the Discord.
If you think of the 4, like the poisoner, pretty sneaky deal. Like, right, it's a woman's weapon anyway, right? As they mention it here, he probably could have poisoned somebody and like just snuck back into the ranks.
Yeah.
Like, who would have known who was poisoned?
Especially once he did all this and started killing the people who were involved. If I'm the poisoner, I'm putting my Lannister hat back on and just getting in line. You know what I mean? Maybe the poisoner just left is probably the most likely, right? What he doesn't have
he did his
investment.
He did his work like hours beforehand. If he did anything,
it's like
right?
it's like the Karens yelling at the cashier at like Walmart, like I'm leaving, I'm never coming back here. Like that cashier doesn't give a fuck if you come back. She's not like the CEO of Walmart. You know what I mean? Like, right? That's exactly what this poisoner. I don't give a fuck what's going on. I'm not staying here and risking my life for Jaime Lannister. I'm getting the fuck. I mean. Except to the point where if you are a solo rescuer of Jaime Lannister, then
you're fucking boss.
Like if you pull like an Arya from the show and you kill every single person at this castle at a single feast and walk out the front door of Jaime Lannister, you're gonna be the richest man in the world for the rest of your days.
Yeah, you're pretty good.
But most people would probably just leave with the fucking rest of the Lannisters, if we're being real. I think that might be all I got.
No,
that's it.
Yeah, Glow came with nothing.
I had sweets, and Lance was banging Cersei, but that's about it.
You always have sweets.
Glow's been out of town working some long days. It's okay.
I can't wait for Lancel to get the Tyrion treatment. That's a great chapter too.
When he basically just like tells like I know everything's going on.
I know everything. Like yeah.
Tyrion rides this. I said it earlier. Tyrion rides this high for a while, but it all comes crashing down
real fast.
Well, I mean, he gets almost murdered at the Blackwater. Does it come down? That's when it comes crashing down.
Exactly.
Right?
Tywin shows up. He doesn't have any more power. Then Joffrey.
His face is off. Half of his face is off.
Then Joffrey. So yeah. Also, I asked the artist like, well, yo, can we get a few edits of some people? So should we get Dany's hair cut off? For the Clash of Kings chapters, there's only 4 of them, but it wouldn't
give her like a pixie cut. Don't go bald.
I mean, she's fucking bald.
Nah, she's got some.
Come on, dude. Give her a little bald cut.
She's bald as fuck.
I need some company.
Right.
Also, we talk about like how I've talked about this before. How Dany and Arya both get their haircuts off at like the same time, and it's kind of like a re-character, whatever you call that, in the like
rebirth
for the character. Pycelle's beard.
Does
Pycelle being reborn?
He doesn't change.
He comes back. Cersei gets him out of the black cells.
He comes back and he does the same Pycelle bullshit.
Pycelle makes it up until the very last chapter of Dance of Dragons, right? Isn't it in the? Does
he die?
No, Kevin dies.
Oh, Kevin dies
in the book or in the show. It's Pycelle, but in the
Pycelle
books.
dies when they do the blowing up of the sept in the show.
You're right. It's
Kevin.
Pycelle dies from Varys' little birds in the show.
Yeah, but it's during the scene of the sept blowing up. It's like dun, 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 and they're showing like
what a great scene.
Yeah, great scene. But so Pycelle is alive still, Glow?
He doesn't die. I don't think he dies.
I thought
How does Kevin die? Who kills Kevin?
Little Varys or Varys' little birds.
No, Varys. Maybe and his little birds. Varys is like in the room talking to him in the epilogue.
In the show,
Dance with Dragons is Varys in a room talking to somebody who is
Kevin,
who he's killing or his little birds are killing. It's Kevin.
So in the show, it's Qyburn. Qyburn kills Pycelle with the little birds.
It's the same. It's kind of the same thing, but Pycelle's there and the little birds are killing him instead of Varys and Kevin.
Varys and Kevin.
Kevin dies also.
Definitely not Kevin. But
Kevin, whatever you want to call him.
In the show? I don't know what happens.
I forget how he dies, but he does die.
He might die at the same time. Probably.
Maybe Septa Baylor. Who knows?
All right, let's log off. We're wasting time.
Next one, Arya. Very short one.
Arya 6.
Love it.
Guys, make sure you like, subscribe, and also join the Discord.
And Discord us.
I don't know if everyone knows what Discord is. It's not like a Patreon. It's free. Just click the link, join it. You can join all the chats, see what's going on, talk to everybody there, join our BLT turkey polls, see what's going on.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Hear me roar. See you guys.
Hear me roar.